Live, yay! It's funny. I know that it's one of those things where with YouTube, you're already live, even though it seems like you're waiting. Yeah, there you go. Okay, good. So now we are live on YouTube. We're recording the Zoom and we are live streaming to Clubhouse. Yay! We've got all the different channels going at the same time. So today we're talking with David Randolph. He is an expert in short sales in real estate. And one of the reasons we had David on last month, and we're asking him to have him come back, and we're going to do a little series. So hopefully David will come back next month in May as well. But today we wanted to just talk about, and then I wanted to start, if we could, just with a little bit about setting the scene, because again, there's so many people that are in disbelief that there are going to be short sales, and partly just because the market in so many places has been so amazingly busy. And even I just I'm licensed as a real estate agent in Virginia, DC, and Maryland, and just about to be licensed in Florida. So now I'm a snowbird officially. I go back and forth from the two different, very, very different jurisdictions. And it's really interesting with short sales. It's such a again, I already saw in the Washington, DC area, we're starting to see them pop up on the MLS. So I don't really have the disbelief, but I can tell you many people who watched last month's interview with David Randolph was really feeling like there's just no way we're going to have all these short sales. And so I wanted to start off with at least one statistic. If you can put your finger on one, David, that can actually share. I know you've got the mortgage, some of these places that I want to say are not public to a lot of people. You have to buy a subscription. And even with I want to say internal stuff that's being talked about with the banks, I know they are talking about foreclosures and short sales, and it is a big deal, but so often many of them are not. So I was just curious if you can start there with a little bit of some information on what's happening. Why is short sales going to be such a big thing over the next couple of years?
Yeah, well, good morning, Jennifer. If you could share your screen, I can.
Oh, sorry.
Give you a piece of data over. And you're right. We had done a whole episode on the data just a couple of weeks ago, I think March 29th. And so I think it's episode 132 of yours. But just, some data I was looking at yesterday, I'll go ahead and pull that over here for all of our YouTube people that are able to see this on Clubhouse. You just have to listen to the statistics. So let me pull this over and show it to you here. Okay, can you see that, Jennifer?
Yes. So this is Black Knight. Yeah, and tell people a little bit about what is Black Knight.
Yeah, so there's a lot of data sources out there. Black Knight, Adam Data Services, Realty Track, and some are paid subscriptions and some are not. This is not a paid subscription, what I have in front of you right here. And this is Black Knight's report. It's probably, I think, 25 pages in here. And so actually, this is the summary report of that, but there's a PDF directory that will go into a lot of detail. If you're to download the report, basically. So you can see here on the left-hand side, we've got 23 pages, not 25.
Wow.
Data that I'm not going to spend the time on because we want to talk about how to market to the people, because they can go back to your episode 132 when I went through some data. But just to point out for here, as you said, the latest data that just came out, and I'll just read, I got a little monthly group that I do this, and I'll just read the key point that I wanted to point out from this. Okay, that basically there are, there's 925,000 loans that basically, there's 2.3 million loans that were in liquidation so far. Now, what comes out of that is that, these have worked out to an average of 40,000 sales per month during the pandemic. Okay, well, it's not filled the inventory gap. So let me just try to summarize here. There's a lot of data, boy. So there are 750,000 loans that remain in active forbearance, okay, with another 400,000 loans that are not in forbearance, but are still in the active loss mitigation process. So the loss mitigation process is a step where the banks try to work out with the homeowners some kind of way of getting them to make their payments up, pay what they owe, revise their monthly payment. And there's many methods that are applied. And so there's 750,000 loans that are still protected under the forbearance program that came out of the CARES Act, which did end in August of last year, but they're still kind of under that protection system. And then there's 400,000 that were not under that protection system. And so that is those people that are, if you're judicial state, non-judicial state, they're in that some process of, being foreclosed on. So that's 1.1 million people. And to give you that perspective, normally you have about 40,000, 35 or 40,000 foreclosures a month. So we've got months and months and months and months and months and months of foreclosures if they try to do these, instantaneously. And so that's probably just one, key statistic that I'd point out. I've got a PowerPoint here if I can figure out how to, do this without messing up the computer system here.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, I just think it's really, really important that people understand that, again, and you talked about the mortgage moratorium ending, but it also, for some people, I know it went all the way through, they got extensions all the way through December. So, and then some people even got more extensions, as you just said, in the forbearance under some of the federal programs, but also some, they worked it out with their banks to get extensions. But those extensions, I believe now have all expired, at least on the federal level, correct?
Well, yeah, actually, there's the country of California, the state of California, who actually overrode President Biden and did not listen to him and end the moratorium July 31st, 2021. What they did, they said, no, we're going to have the moratorium in place until January the 3rd of 2022. So even the state of California has stopped the moratorium. And in California last year, I was told that there was about 200 foreclosures in the whole state in 2021. On January the 4th, the day after the California moratorium ended for mortgages, okay, not evictions, but for mortgages on loans, there were 1,000 filings, Jennifer, 1,000 filings on the day after the moratorium ended, just on for the foreclosure process to take place. So there's a lot out there, and we could spend, a lot of time going over the data, but today.
No. Yeah, today we want to take the next step, because last time we really went over the data. So go back to that other episode and go back through the rest of the episode. But I wanted to start off with at least the problem. Or the situation. I shouldn't say that. I mean, I guess one of the neatest things about entrepreneurs that I have ever had, and especially after interviewing so many over the years, I've realized that one of the special things is to love the problem or to love the situation, because you can create a solution for a situation. And that's what you are focused on, is creating solutions for people who are in this as a real estate investor, right?
Yes. And so, on the screen here, for those on YouTube, you can see the link to just go to jenniferhammondradio.com and catch episode 133 and 134. I flew through some slides on the screen of some marketing that we looked at the last time. And so you can go through that. Today we, wanted to talk about how do you market and find these people with it and stuff. And so that's, I also, just so you know, David, I've had a few requests from the audience asking to post the link. So I'm going to post the link to the YouTube so that people can see you. Even if they're listening in Clubhouse, they can also see the slides that you're posting up. So we have that data. And remember, you can always rewind. The nice part is also in Clubhouse, since we're recording this, you can go back and rewind and listen to it again.
But also on YouTube, we're getting up there. We'll put all the details up there so you can see on the screen what we're talking about as well. So if you want to listen in audio, like a radio, you can listen in Clubhouse, or you can go to YouTube. And then of course, we'll post this up on the podcast and other places, many other places as well. But please continue, David, and I'll get that link up posted for them.
Yeah, and so, we only have a short period of time. We wanted to talk today about how do you find these people? How do you market to them? And so this is for real estate investors. This is for, realtors. There's a team approach to doing short sales. Families are in trouble. They're losing their home. And there's a lot of reasons why they go to foreclosure, even when they have equity in the house. And that's something that we have to prevent. And, realtors have to work with real estate investors. When you're doing a short sale, you need critical things. You need to have a buyer for that house who's willing to accept it as it is with a cash offer. Banks don't like to have a buyer come in where they have to get a loan approved. Can you do a short sale that way? Yes, you can. Is it more difficult? Absolutely. Because why does the bank want to spend months and months trying to approve the short sale process with the owner of the home to then have the buyer not be able to get the loan? And so having a realtor, having an investor on their team who can buy the houses for cash as is, no inspections needed is an important thing. And so, we have to reach out. We're going to go through some marketing methods on how you find families that are in trouble that you can help them out. And so realtors can do this as a client, and real estate investors like me can do this, to buy houses, fix them up, and make a lot of money. It's our job. It's what we do for a living and stuff. So I'm going to go through some of the marketing here in the short time that we have. So let me just go ahead and get started with that. And I guess a little background, who I am. So the caveat stuff, I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a real estate agent, guys. I'm not a realtor. Okay. I have realtors on my team. I have contractors on my team and lots of other people. Don't play anything on TV. Not an actor. This presentation, no part of this, written or verbal, is meant to be any kind of tax or legal advice. This is just my interpretation and my experience with short sales, for the past 11 years. That's how long I've been doing them full time, basically. I have learned a lot from the best people, local and national experts. I'm a data junkie nerd. If you go back to episode 133, we had to break it into 133 and 134 because we went through so much data and research and percentages and a lot more stuff on that. But I like to research a lot. Okay, I do a lot of things. I make a lot of money. I'm an engineer who likes to follow processes and step-by-step procedures, and that works really well in the short sale system. I'm an entrepreneur. I've got a lot of business streams, chemical engineer, quit my job in 2006. Wife and I became real estate investors 2010, but I'm just a small guy. Okay, I'm not like the big syndicators. I don't have a PPP thing. I don't have an SEC. I just do rehabs. I rehab about 5 to 10 houses a year. But one of my claims to fame that I'm very proud of is that all my houses that I've fixed up and sold on the MLS under 260,000, they have sold in 7 days or less at list price or above for over 10 years. In 16, 17, 18, they sold in 2 days. So today's market, Jennifer, is not new to me. My homes have sold very quickly. My typical profit is about $90,000 per house because I negotiate and buy short sales. Okay, these are not short sales with a realtor on the MLS. Let me be clear. As a rehabber, as an investor, I'm not going to the MLS to find a short sale already listed with a realtor, but rather I'm going to the homeowner, reaching out to homeowners who are in trouble, and then negotiating directly with the bank. And then do I bring my realtor on my team onto the project? Yes, I do at that point. But if you're a realtor on this call now, you can be reaching out to the homeowners. And then now you just need to bring your rehabber real estate investor onto your team to be able to have a strong buyer for that bank. So that's what I do for myself is I negotiate short sales so that I can buy houses. I'm a hard money lender. I've been so blessed for the 11 years to have over $3 million of money in my IRA account that I lend out to other rehabbers. So I'm a little bit unique. My heart and passion is to help new rehabbers get started. So I lend them all the money to buy the house, fix the house up, for the points on the loan, all the money for the monthly interest payments. Then I started doing one-on-one coaching in 2018. So I do teach short sales, and I started out in 2018 with some urban rehab workshops on people to help them do what I do. Then in 2019, Mr. John Lee here invited me to the St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association meeting to do a presentation on short sales on it. And then from there, I started providing one-on-one coaching. I've got a monthly group coaching group. I've got a basic workshop, an intermediate and advanced workshop all over the past couple of years. But let's get into the marketing side. That's who I am. Didn't want to spend more than a couple of minutes, but a lot of people don't know who I am. So that's my background. That's what I know about short sales. That's the success that I've had in it. And Jennifer, I kind of make the joke with people a lot of times, the money in my retirement accounts is the money that my wife didn't spend. Okay. So I've actually made a lot more money in short sales and real estate. That's just what got, into the retirement account that she didn't, see, kind of thing. But, basically short sales are a great way for real estate investors, for rehabbers to make a living and to help families out. Okay. But just quickly, a couple slides on what a short sale is for those that are just jumping on and don't really know what they are. Basically, a short sale real quickly is where the homeowner owes more than what they can get from selling the home. Now, I want to be clear, this is not the mortgage. Okay, it's all the debt. A lot of people say that, it's the loan from the bank that they owe too much, and that's not true. Okay, they have other debts such as credit card judgments, tax liens from the state, federal tax liens. It's the debt of everything that is attached to the house that prevents them from selling the house. So people need to keep that in mind. Even if the loan is fairly low, it's the other debt that's attached to the house. Basically, a lot of times, you're going to see that in a short sale that these people are in a pending foreclosure. In other words, they can't sell their house. Okay, and so they're going to, it usually takes 30 to 60 days to sell, and so they don't have time to sell. And each state's got a different amount of time, that it takes on here. With it. So just be aware what state you're in and how much time it takes for the foreclosure to come up, because that's kind of where you're going to find these people, because they won't be able to sell the house.
I know you're going to talk about this a little bit more, but I also want to make sure that we also emphasize that every state is different, and that some states are called judicial and some are non-judicial. And I know we'll talk about that a little bit more later, but you just need to know that as we talk about this, it's different. For it. Yeah, there you go. Yay, we got it up on the screen now.
My very next slide.
Yeah, just didn't want to forget that, because it is, again, the interesting part is I've had so many, David, we've had so many people who listened to the last episode who are real estate agents, and they're very interested. So we've had real estate investors who are very interested in what you're teaching and how to understand this. I want to call it a niche in the real estate investing market from their viewpoint, but also as real estate agents want to understand how they can be helpful in what states that they can be the most helpful. Because again, as you said, and I just want to say it again, these are not houses that you're necessarily going to find on the MLS. There are always exceptions to every rule, and I'll mention that just because, as I said at the top of the hour, we've already seen them short sales start popping up on the MLS in Virginia and DC and Maryland. So we're starting to actually see them come out, I want to call it in the retail market. But what you're describing and what we're going to emphasize today, and I want to stress this for anyone who's listening, is that David is going to talk. I always love to use the word secret, but he's going to talk, if you don't know it, it's a secret. So he's going to talk about a method that, again, most people don't really understand. And that's how to find these before they hit the MLS, right?
Absolutely. Yes, that's what we're going to do. And because realtors are very important to this process. I mean, don't you as a realtor mail out to your friends and family, seeing if they're looking to sell their home. You can do
Absolutely.
don't realtors even sometimes pay for sale by owner list, to try to reach out to them. So this is just marketing. And so I'm going to show you all the realtors how to market to find homeowners that you can do listings on to be able to do a short sale. Now, we are not going to teach you how to do the short sale in this call whatsoever. That's a lot of training. And I think, Jennifer, you even have some training on how to help realtors, do something with that. So we'll leave that out of their discussion because they can reach out to you for that. But we're just going to do the marketing on how to find them, either as the rehabber who needs a home, okay, or the realtor who, needs a home. And then they come together and we need a buyer and a realtor for this process. But the judicial and non-judicial, I do want to reemphasize, though, that, Jennifer, a lot of people miss. It only affects the marketing. The actual process from negotiation with the bank is federal. It is federal. It crosses state lines. So the paperwork needed and the information needed to be given to the bank to do a short sale is not affected by the judicial or non-judicial state. Judicial simply means that the bank has to go through a judge filing certain court documents before they can actually take the home back to their ownership. In a non-judicial state, they don't have to go, the bank does not have to go through a judge. All they have to do is post the legal description in a legal newspaper for their county. And I'll get into that later. So this emphasized in red, it only affects the length of time you have for marketing. So judicial states take much longer. They may take 60, 90 days, 6 months. And I will note that realtors have an advantage because anyone can negotiate a short sale anywhere in the country except for the state of California and Florida, and Maryland's a special thing there too. But if you're a realtor on this call, you have no limitations, okay, in being able to negotiate a short sale, with a homeowner. But an investor has to not do that in California and Florida unless they work, directly with the realtor on that up front. And so basically, just real quickly, buyers can't get a traditional loan because approval process takes too long. So you really want to, as a realtor, be working with a cash buyer, an investor like me, a rehabber. Can you have a buyer buy a short sale and get a loan? Yes, you can, but you're not going to be in as strong of a negotiating position with the bank to get them to reduce the loan down as much as you want. And also, here's a must. The lender requires a home to be as is. Okay, they don't want the homeowner spending money to fix it up in an inspection clause with it because they have no money. The bank wants the money to come to them, not to fix, the leaky sink. So it has to be as is. Okay, they have to approve the buyer. So keep that in mind. Your buyer is very important. They have to approve the buyer, not just the homeowner, but the buyer. And then all parties cannot be related. So you can't have anybody related to the seller. Okay, just kind of summarize that real quickly. These are some other things that, what you want to tell, the homeowner to be able to get them to do a listing. What's their advantages, real quickly. And stuff, and so basically, if the homeowner doesn't do anything, they will eventually get foreclosed because the bank wants to be paid in full unless we get them as the realtor or the rehabber to get them to reduce that amount. They're going to have a deficiency in most states.
And I want to interrupt you just for a second on that point, just because it's really, I think it's so important to emphasize. The thing is you're interrupting a process because there's a short sale process, and then it can actually result in a foreclosure. So you're interrupting a process, and then a couple things, and I know you can expand on these, but it really is, and you're about to with the screen. But one of the big things is that people don't realize is that you're trying to help somebody before it becomes much worse, like affecting their credit score. And I know you're going to talk about that a little bit more, but one of the big things about this is that when it starts to happen, it's such a process that people don't understand. And when people don't understand, they tend to not make a decision. And when you're stuck on a maybe, you don't know if you should be doing, this or if you should be doing that. You're stuck on a maybe, then a lot of times that homeowner is just stuck. They're stuck in kind of that in-between thing. And unfortunately, the process with the banks will continue to keep moving forward. So it is really important to understand that these have very specific and finite timeframes, in that if you don't do something, unfortunately, it will continue regardless of how much you want to close your eyes and pretend it's not happening. It's going to happen, right?
Yes, Jennifer. In episode 133, I pulled out a Black Knight statistic from a 30-year study of foreclosures over the past 30 years. And it found that homeowners with 40% equity in their home, homeowners that could snap their finger and sell their home and pay their debt off, 40% equity. Out of those, 1/3 of those people went to foreclosure and nobody was there to help them. Jennifer, you weren't there. Another realtor wasn't there. I wasn't there to help them. 1/3 of those people will let that home go to foreclosure, and you need to step in and clarify, explain to them this process. Okay, explain, that they're going to have a deficiency if they don't take any action. Explain that they could get $1,500 to $3,000, depending on the type of loan, from the bank, in a short sale process. Explain that their credit's going to get hit, 300 points, and for 7 years, if they let that foreclosure, take place. They may have to file bankruptcy, which will hurt their credit. A short sale only hurts their credit for like 50 points for 1 year. A bankruptcy is, for 5 years. Okay. The borrower will have to move out because of the foreclosure date, versus in a short sale, Jennifer, they get to live in the home for 3 months, 6 months, maybe 9 months, the whole time. They're able to save their money up while the short sale is being negotiated. So you're exactly right. These are things that we need to make them aware of. And stuff. And so, there's a lot of value to that. You have to have a heart to help families out. You don't tell them that, hey, David Randolph makes $150,000 to $150,000 profit on each house. Can I do a short sale on your? That's not what you say to the homeowner at all. Okay, you have to be able to help the family out in their situation. The rehabber, the buyer is important because they're bringing up the value of homes in the subdivision, restoring homes, selling them at a higher price. And, we provide a lot of jobs to many people in the area. So it's a win-win for everybody, even for the bank, because Jennifer, in the end, the bank is a 600-pound gorilla, and they tell you exactly what you have to pay for that house. Okay, you have no choice. It's their choice of what you pay. They make a determination, and you help them with that information and stuff. So I have an example. You always want examples of a house.
I do. Thank you.
So I threw one in here. This was, I don't think it's one that I did on the episode 133 or.
No, it's a different one. Yeah.
Good. So this was a lady who was about 82 years old, elderly lady, lived in the home by herself. It was a ranch. It was not a walkout. Okay, so it was a regular basement, and the subdivision flooded. And what happened was these tree limbs came down the street. This is at the bottom of the hill, and these tree limbs hit her basement window and filled her basement with water. Literally, it's a swimming pool. She hears this noise, goes over to the basement, takes one step down and splashes in water. Her entire basement is full of water. And so basically what happened was, the home was condemned. The home got moldy. Her insurance company wouldn't pay because she had no flood insurance.
Yep.
Okay, she's in St. Charles, Missouri. There's the address, guys, right there on the screen. I'm very open with what I do. Go look it up. And so, there's no reason to buy flood insurance. So the insurance company wouldn't cover it. So the home ended up growing mold. She was condemned, had to move out. The bank was trying to take the home from her and then come after her for the debt. Okay, and so I stepped in, I did the short sale, and that's a longer process. But basically, just to give you a perspective, of how you can step in and help the homeowner out and make money at this, because I have to be sure that people on the call here who are rehabbers, the cash buyers, know that this is a good business, that they can bring value to this situation. Here's the numbers on this home. Okay, so this home was sold for $205,000. It was rehabbed. It did cost $71,000 for the rehab. We had 6 offers in 2 days. Okay, now Jennifer, I want to remind you, this is a house from 2015. Remember, my homes sell in 7 days or less. So it's not today's market. This was 2015. When you rehab nicely, they sell. 6 offers in 2 days, 5 over list, sold for $205,000. there was a $71,000 rehab done on that house. Okay, so what would you have paid for the house? Okay, so basically, it has to be less than $130,000, right? Otherwise, you would lose money. Well, I'm going to just go ahead and move on.
Wow.
$33,900 is what the bank accepted for that house in a short sale. So here's your numbers. It was sold for 205, 71 was put in, 33 was purchase price. So $99,000, $100,000 on a $200,000 house profit was made. The bank forced us to pay $33,900. Okay. See, the realtor's job, they have a fiduciary responsibility to who? Jennifer, who does the realtor have a fiduciary responsibility to?
To their clients.
Exactly, not the bank, not the bank. Okay.
Yeah.
The bank's a 600-pound gorilla. They came out, they did their stuff. And they said that $33,900 is what it is. Then the rehabber steps in, puts in $70,000 worth of work, brings it up, sold higher than any house in that subdivision. And the bank's very happy because they can make loans out to those people buying it. And we're not going to do any others.
And let me give you a quick when you ask that question, if there are actually different states where there are different agency relationships, and you should find out if your real estate agent is actually working with you in a fiduciary duty like that or not, because there are not, like even in Florida, there are some agents who are working for the transaction, and they do not work for the buyer or the seller. In Virginia, DC, and Maryland, which is where I'm also licensed, I'm about to be licensed in Florida, but it's so interesting because there are differences in every state, and you should find out who the real estate agent is working for, because it's not always who you think. And so anyway, I wanted to make sure I didn't leave that open-ended.
Yeah, thank you very much, because you have a lot of experience in that area, and that's why I say this is a team effort. And so you don't find these on the MLS. The realtor already has it listed. And if the realtor is not trained, Jennifer, as you know, they've already screwed it up, just to be frank with you. Some realtors will list the home for what the loan value is. That's not how you do a short sale. You don't list the home at the loan value and then try to drop the price over 1 year's worth of time, trying to prove to the bank that it's not worth that.
Right.
You're losing time. And the homeowner has a lot of grief, and then it goes to foreclosure and they end up losing the home. So there's a process on how you do that. So I always like to give a freebie here. Okay. There's a document that you need to be able to do short sales. Okay. And so if you text short to me, I'll send you these slides because I don't have time to go through all of them. So if you text short to 636-685-2990, I'll give you all these slides because I'm this data junkie guy. I'd like for you to be able to see these slides, go over them, and I'll also give you a free document that you need to be able to start this process. Okay. With it. So I always like to give something away for free. No charge on that. But anyway, let's get into where you do the marketing. Okay. How do you find these people? In the 20 minutes that we have, I want to try to go through where you send your information to and how you find them. So, how are you going to get these people? Okay. So, I always say, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. Homeowners are like that. They're tired, they're poor, they're hiding in their house, they're not responding to the bank, and they just want relief. They need somebody to step in, and that's what you need to be. You need to help them. They need to believe that you can help them in some way. Okay. And so marketing is a big part of this. Okay. If a tree falls to the ground, does anybody hear a noise? Well, if you don't reach out to the people through marketing, they're not going to find you to ask for help. You have to go to them. It's okay, Jennifer, to mail them a letter. It's okay to talk to them. They're distressed. Okay. And so basically, here's something that people don't understand. In all states, the lender is required to post the legal description in the county legal newspaper. Okay. So we're not talking about going to www.foreclosureme.com website and a lot of things you hear about. That's not the legal process. The legal process goes by county, and it goes by the legal newspaper for your county. So that's the people that we want to target. Okay. They're desperate in a certain number of days, depending on your state. They're not going to have any place to live. They've already tried everything that they can and it hasn't worked. And they're hopefully willing to provide anything needed to stop that foreclosure date. And that's what you do, as the investor, realtor, is you get the documents that the bank wants. Okay, if they could have found a buyer for the house, they would have already done that. I mean, people are getting, thousands of letters, and they get these cash offers, these lowball cash offers, and like, but my loan is too much. Okay, and so they get mad at all these investors lowballing them when they can't sell the house. What about if you know how to do short sales and you say, that's okay. I can get the bank to ask you for less money for the payoff. You can get the bank to reduce their payoff, okay, and stuff. And so, if you know how to do this little niche, then those families have a way, to get out of the situation. The banks just want the loan paid off, okay, and stuff, so they can go out and lend more money. You can give them more time to live in the house with no payments. So these are just some of the things that you want to be aware of when you're reaching out and talking to the homeowner, okay? So I'm going to skip some of these slides. It's kind of short. Okay, let's get into marketing. Like I said, text short to 636-685-2990, and you can get all these slides. So now, where do you find these at? Okay, now there's the foreclosures, and then there's the pre-foreclosure. These are the ones that are late on one payment. So to do a short sale, you have to miss one house payment. Okay, and so basically, you can reach out to people before they are posted in the legal newspaper. And I'm not going to spend time on that. There would be a whole nother seminar that we can do, but the quick sources are listsource.com. You choose your county or your zip codes. You would target subprime loans. Okay, so subprime loans are a category that you can buy the names and addresses for. Okay, now a lot of times realtors, buy, the addresses of, people that, are, been living in their home for a while, and you think they might be moving. So, you're just buying a list. Well, the criteria, write this down, is subprime loans. And then you go in with, do you want 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom? So that's a way to get them before foreclosure date. Okay, but right now, today, on this presentation, we're going to talk about the legal newspaper, okay, and how to get that. Now, the legal newspaper in a lot of counties does have online access. So this is the trick. We don't want to have to get this physical paper and copy and paste and mail stuff. We want to make a purchase possibly, or sometimes it's free for the online version of the legal newspaper. So I'm going to give you a quick example for the state of Missouri. I obviously can't show everybody's state. If someone wants to contact me, for their location, I can probably talk to you about, how to find that. But I'm going to show you for your county and your state where you want to do short sales and to help families out. Okay, you're going to reach out to that legal newspaper for that county, and here's what you're going to do when you get onto that website. Okay, so here in St. Louis, we have 4 different counties. It's only $49 a month. Okay, for all of St. Louis. Okay, St. Louis County and the surrounding counties, just $49 a month to get online access to it. Okay, so this is the website here for ours. It's also the same website for Kansas City. So St. Louis and Kansas City are the same. Now, when you get onto your county's website, I'm just showing you a quick example of what it looks like when you get onto the county's website. They usually start out with a heat map of where the foreclosures are, so you can get a good idea, of how many there are in different parts of St. Louis. It's probably a little hard to read that, but then you quickly navigate to, as shown on here on the right-hand side, the search tools that you'll search for real estate. Okay. And then under real estate, you're going to pull up a screen here that's going to let you set the criteria for finding the names and addresses of these people. So you went under real estate. Okay. You went to this screen here, and you're going to change it to public notices. And then you're going to choose trustee sales. So choose your county. Obviously, there's multiple counties that I have the subscription for. So this is St. Charles County. But here is what you need is the category is called trustee sales. So Missouri, we have trustees. Other states are mortgage states. And so there's different ways to find that. But, for the trustee states, you would do trustee sales. And then that's going to pull up a list of the people here along with a map. So on the bottom part of the screen, we've got the address of the house, the auction date, and the date it was posted. Missouri is a 21-day state, so you only have 21 days to reach out to these people. So you click on a person's name, it will give you the name of the foreclosing attorney. Okay, so in all states, you'll be able to get the case number and the, foreclosing attorney with it. Judicial and non-judicial, everybody has to have a foreclosing attorney with it. And then it also shows you the phone number of the foreclosing attorney, but don't call them because they don't work for you. You must call the bank and speak to the bank. Now, this will be publicly posted in all legal newspapers across the United States. It'll give their name right there in the posting, okay? It's got their address right there in the posting with it. Case number, this will give you the auction date. So this is all on your county's website. You'll even, some websites will even give you the minimum bid amount, but that won't be there until, right before you get to the foreclosure, because they're really trying to negotiate and get something done with the homeowner. So they don't say what their minimum price is. Now, 95% of the time, the minimum bid is the loan amount. So it's not going to do you much good when they do have a minimum bid, for it and stuff. But basically, now you have the names and addresses, Jennifer. We now have names and addresses on that screen. And so now we're going to do direct mail marketing. Now, can you do bandit signs? And can we talk about a lot of other things that you can do? And can you do SEO on websites and create things? Yeah, you certainly can. But, direct mail marketing has worked for 100 years, okay, with it and stuff. And so, that's the easiest way, because you can pay somebody to write letters for you. That's really easy to do. And so I like to do direct mail marketing with it. You can hire it out. You don't even need a CRM, though. A customer relationship manager is nice. We're not talking about mass marketing. You got to, wholesaling is really big out there. There's a lot of gurus teaching wholesaling, and you're spending $5,000 a month on marketing, and trying to get a 1%, ratio. My response rate's 20%, Jennifer. 20% of the mailings I mail out to people in foreclosure call me. Okay, 1 out of 5 people, and that's because they're desperate and stuff. And so you do need multiple letters. Okay, you need to tell them, very important, that there's very important options that they have. Okay, we don't have time to go through the explanation of all those. I kind of talked and hinted earlier about, short sale, your credit report versus foreclosure versus bankruptcy, but there's, a lot of important options that they have, like loan modification, deed in lieu, and there's a lot of other things. You're not talking to the homeowner to do a short sale. A short sale is a result of their life situation, in that, they can't list the home and sell it because the home is not fixed up, that a buyer can't get the basement leaks, it's damaged, a normal buyer can't get a loan. And so there's a lot of, options that you run through, that the result becomes that is a short sale. Now, I suggest that you text and you call them, okay, and stuff. And so, you have to check your do not call list today and stuff like that. But, there's nothing that prevents you from knocking on the door. Okay, there's not a do not knock list. Okay, unless they have a sign in the window that says no solicitation.
Right.
Reach out to people.
Or if they have a sign that says big dog will bite.
Exactly. Yeah. And stuff. But so, call them, and, just to be honest with you, your state might have a do not call list. You can put it in on there. There's a national do not call list.
Right.
But, think about it. You're trying to help this person out. Okay. You're not selling them a refrigerator. You know what I'm saying? They're not paying you anything. You're paying them. Okay. Now the do not call rules are, very vast, but nonetheless, you're trying to reach out to help the people.
And I would emphasize that you should know whatever the federal and the state laws that actually apply for text messaging and phone calls. And that, ironically, the direct mail, you can still mail, over and over and over again. And there's not necessarily a do not mail list, right?
Right, exactly. And the do not call list is for mass texting, mass cold calling. We're not massing anything. We are reaching to a specific person. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I wait for them to call from the letter and stuff like that. And I do mine on a monthly basis. If I get someone to call me by the 7th of the month, then I don't actually answer any calls the rest of the month. I only work on one, right? This isn't big volume business. Now, about the 21st of the month, if I don't have a short sale, then I might do some phone calls because I'm getting worried I don't have my house for the month. kind of thing. But, you want to reach out with, letters and marketing, then they're going to call, and we don't have time to go through a script. Basically, you have to have some knowledge of what is going to take place in your state's foreclosure process. Okay. And so there's important facts, that they need to know when they call, because they're confused. Okay. Now, you can have scripts for this, but quite honestly, I don't really believe in scripts. I teach people, how to do short sales. I've got one-on-one coaching, and we have scripts, but they're only good for like 1 or 2 levels deep. The second you get 3 levels deep down, where are you at? The script's this big,
Right.
And so you just have to have head knowledge.
Well, I was just about to say, I also think that, thank you for saying that, because I think that it's important to know that I always believe in like bullet points. Like, it's important, instead of just having like a script, you need to remember you're not a robot. And how often do you like it when someone calls you and you can tell they're reading from a script? You want to make sure that you're human, and that you're human talking to another human. And let's see if there's a way that we can figure out a win-win solution, so that you don't have some of those really negative things that will last for years happen to you as an investor. You're finding a way to talk to a homeowner where hopefully your heart is in it, and you're looking at how can you figure out a way to help them, and help them also come to an understanding of not only the situation they're in, but an understanding on what are their possible solutions. And in that, again, it's not a script. And I wanted to also mention, I think it is Paris, and some of the people from the audience had raised their hand. And I want to definitely say we will do questions at the end, but I wanted to make sure that we talked about, one, we talked about how to find the short sales, but 2, how to communicate with them. So mail, you can call them. You can also show up their house, like he said, David just said, as long as there's not a no solicitation sign on their door. But you could, if you're working your local area, but make sure that that usually it's not one letter that's going to do it. Usually it is going to be multiple, as we call it in marketing, multiple touches, sometimes as much as 7 before someone calls.
Well, short sales, it's only 5.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they're a foreclosure, the lawyers already touched, the banks already touched them, the lawyers already touched them. Now we just need us for the next 5 times to reach out. But basically, I said there's some key things, and we don't have time to explain how all of them are. I'll just do them real quickly here. You mail them a letter and you tell them that you want to buy their house. Now, in the case of a realtor, you have a license that you can do that, but I'm speaking to the rehabbers and the investors right now. I want to be very clear. Listen to me, for all the investors and rehabbers. You're not a licensed realtor. You have to tell them that you want to buy their house. If you try to tell them that somebody that wants to buy their house, you just broke the law.
Right.
Okay.
Be careful.
Exactly. So for me, as the person doing the mailing, my letters are saying to them, I want to buy their house. Okay. With it. And so that makes me the principal in the transaction with it. And then basically you also want to mail them letters to let them know that you can help them. Tell them, that you're trying to help them avoid the foreclosure and save their credit. And the sooner that they reach out to you, the more options they have. That's really key. The amount of time between the foreclosure date and when they reach out to you, there are more options. For example, FHA will not stop the foreclosure and do a short sale when it's less than 30 days. Okay, now I have a way around that by going to FHA, and it's a longer process, but the guideline is they won't stop the foreclosure if it's within 30 days. So if you get them to respond to you in day 35, they have more options, right? You want to also make it really clear there's no out-of-pocket fees. You are not a loan modification officer. You are not a mortgage officer. You are not going to be paid anything to help them in this process whatsoever. You make your money by buying the house, fixing it up, and selling it. So there's a lot of things I want people to take out of this that you want to put in your letters to them in there and stuff. You want to let them know that you can pay cash as is because, they're going to think, well, nobody's going to want to buy my house because it has to get fixed up. Well, no, you're doing the house as is. They don't have to fix, anything up. And in that letter, let them know the foreclosure date. It's public information. Okay. When they see the foreclosure date from you in a letter, even though it came to them from the bank multiple times, it now becomes real. Here's third-party verification that they're really in trouble. So put that foreclosure date, in the letter. I got a script. There's no time to go over that. I need time for questions, but let them know that they cannot net as much as they will from a sales price due to the cost of selling. So in other words, they think they can just list their home for the loan value, but you've got commissions, you've got the cost of the title company and all these other charges, and so you got to let them know that it's the net that they're looking at from a sale. And so if you step in and do a short sale, you can get the bank to reduce the payoff figure. Okay, but let them know that you intend to make a profit. Okay, be very, very open. Tell them that you want to buy the house for $1 and fix it up and sell it for $1 million. Be upfront with what you're doing as the investor. Okay. Now the realtor, if you're not, realtors can do this, Jennifer. You can be a realtor and still be a rehabber. Okay, and stuff. But some may not want to, rehab and do houses. So fine. Then if you just have clients that are in trouble with a foreclosure date, you now have a way to help your home, your person, your friend, if you can find a buyer that has cash and how to negotiate the short sale with it and stuff. But,
and I know we're about to run out of time. I wanted to hit one disclosure in there is if you're a real estate agent and you want to also be the real estate, the investor as well, you need to disclose, put it in writing, all those things. And again, check with your state with exactly what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, because it is different in every state. And then also remember that the laws are changing, because this is not, it's 2022 when we're actually talking right now. And, you just need to know in present time what all those laws are. And I'll let you finish the summary, and then I want to go to Paris and anyone else who has questions in the room. And we will stay a few minutes after the hour to make sure we answer all your questions if you have questions. But go ahead, David, let's get the summary for people.
Yeah, no, that's right. And so to wrap up the letters, for those who are a realtor, you must state on, and once again, check your state, or actually really just check with your broker. He'll tell you, but you need to say on there, that you are a licensed realtor. But here's something else you can put right after that. You can say, but I do not want to list your home. I want to buy your home. Okay. So if you're a realtor investor, a realtor rehabber, okay, then you need to, say, I don't want to list your home. I want to buy your home, because you can use another realtor to list it, and then you can be the buyer. Okay, yeah. So let's not take realtors and kick them out who want to make money on their own. Some realtors just want to do listings, and that's okay. And so, you put the full statement on there that your broker tells you you have to. But then kind of summarize, we're going to wrap this up real quick. You can make a lot of money. You can help families out. And here's something neat. There's no competition with other buyers or with the seller. The seller doesn't care what the price is, because they aren't going to be able to pay the loan off. Okay. And there are no other buyers, because the bank will only negotiate with one contract. Okay. You are not competing with other buyers. If you get this one document I talked about earlier, okay, you're authorized to be in control of the situation. And then you and the seller determine who you want to be the buyer. There are no other buyers. Now, to give you a perspective, in where I live pre-pandemic, there were only 40 foreclosures a month in my county, 300 in St. Louis. Okay, so how many do you need? You only need one per month. Okay, and so every single month there's another 300 in St. Louis. Due to the pandemic, there are 5 times as many people that are delinquent on their loans that will become foreclosures, over time. So this is a great time to step in and help people. But anyway, so there's my contact information, my website, thedavidrandolph.com. You can get more information. I love talking to people about short sales. Call with a question about it. If you don't know what to do, contact Jennifer. She's got some training, for realtors and other things. Reach out, to her on it, but help families out. Don't let these go to foreclosure with it. Everybody loses, including the bank with it. So anyway, that's about it, I think, here on it.
That's perfect. I want to go ahead and open the floor so that we can answer questions. So let's start with Paris. Do you have a question for David or for me?
Yes, I have a question for David. Hi, David. Very familiar with his program, but what I thought about recently, I bought a house for 40,000, and because I bought it for 40,000, none of the lenders wanted to give me the funds to rehab it because they said it must be at 100. They wanted me to buy the house for more in order for them to give me the rehab funds, and I couldn't understand that because I thought I always wanted to buy the house as low as possible. So how are you? I guess maybe you.
Hey, Paris, let me interrupt you. On Clubhouse, the echo was too bad. Could you repeat the question just one more time? I couldn't hear because I've got the YouTube and the Clubhouse thing. It was echoing. So
he muted his two other things. So I'm sorry. Start again, Paris, for him.
Yeah. So my question was, recently I bought a house for 40,000. Not necessarily a short sale, and I know David, you purchase your homes for at minimum cost. But because I purchased the home for so low, lenders did not want to help with the rehab funds because they expected me to purchase a house at a minimum of 100,000. And I thought the goal is to purchase it for as low as possible. So, how would you recommend getting around that when you do purchase a house for minimum cost, way below 100,000, to get rehab funds?
Sure, absolutely, Paris. No, that's really, really simple. There are certain banking institutions that won't loan anything less than $100,000.
Absolutely.
So you need to do is you need to work with either private lenders or what's called hard money lenders. Okay. And so hard money lenders are a portfolio lender at a bank, local bank. But hard money lenders are definitely one that you can go to because they're literally just loaning to you based on the asset itself. They're not even looking a lot of times, at what your finances are as far as, how much money, and some of them don't even look at your credit score. Okay. And so they are going to fund you based on the fact that you did get it so low, the risk is very low. Okay. And so you want to go to what's called a hard money lender for that. Now, of course, you get to a position where if you only need $10,000 for the rehab and you paid 40,000 cash, you kind of end up where you almost need to consider just using a credit card. I hate to say use a credit card, but you get down to so low on it that maybe you wait a month or two and just save your money up and do the rehab. So there is a situation with that, but you want to seek out a hard money lender in your local community at your local RIA group.
Definitely. There's so many different options there. And I know we're just about out of time, but there are lots of different options for money, especially private lenders. So thank you, David. And let's go ahead. Are there any other questions? I want to see if anybody else want to raise their hand before we leave. Let's see, John Lee, you are always so gracious. And I know David. Do you have any questions for David this morning?
Sure. Thanks, Jennifer. Thank you, David. Very good in-depth knowledge. I always appreciate your deepness in it because I always learn something. I guess I just got one question. Are there any areas that you avoid, any types of situations, I should say, not areas, but any kind of situations you run into that are not really favorable as far as short sales go? Thank you.
Great question, John.
Yeah, John, as always, he's a real estate investor too, and so he's always got great questions. Absolutely, you don't want to do every short sale. Okay, I will not work with someone who is mad at the bank. I will not work with someone who has $100,000 in the bank. I only want to work with families that need help, because here's this phrase: if they're trouble now, they're trouble later. Okay, and so if they're giving you trouble now, in trying to help them in doing the short sale process, you may do all this work and then they won't show up for the closing. Okay. And so you don't want to spend your time doing that. So yeah, there's definitely, the first criteria is that the homeowner has to have a financial need, a hardship, a health issue, a job issue, a divorce. It can't be someone that just is mad at the bank because they overpaid for the house or something like that, and they've got the money and they're not honoring their debt. So that's the first ones that I would avoid with it. After that, there's quite a few others, but we don't have time to go, into those.
And we have one more question for you. So Sherry, I know you raised your hand. What kind of question do you have for David today?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for letting me come up and talk. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. How hard would it be working in Georgia as a non-judicial state?
Oh, Georgia's a great state. It's a non-judicial state. It's 30 days. You guys are actually lazy. Missouri only have 21 days to stop the foreclosure. You have an extra 9 days in Georgia. And if you're in Fulton County, I actually have the website information for Fulton County. So contact me later or let me know what county you're in, and I'll show you how to find those foreclosures in your county. Okay.
Oh, great. I will. I'll let you. Can I back channel you, David? Or
Yeah, you can either contact him on Clubhouse, or you can go to his phone number is 636-685-2990. Again, 636-685-2990.
Yep. Just text me, not right now because I'm busy, but just give me a call later and I'll show you. We can talk about where you're at and what your county is.
Yeah. And I want to say, happy holiday for everyone this weekend. Thank you again, David, so much for being here on the holiday weekend. And hopefully we can have you back on in May sometime and get an update on, what's happening. And then also, I know we wanted to talk about at some future date about paperwork and how to finish it, the next phase, so to speak, in the process.
It's really important on the paperwork. You one of the things you hear from people that they hate short sales is, well, I did a short sale and they lost my paperwork, and I did another and they lost my paperwork. They have never lost my paperwork in 11 years, Jennifer. Never. And here's why. I'm going to give a little tidbit. They didn't lose your paperwork. They did get it, but you filled it out wrong. And their job, the bank's job, is not to teach you how to do a short sale. So they lost your paperwork because you didn't fill it out right. So that would be a great idea, Jennifer, is to do something on the paperwork, because they don't get lost. It's that you filled it out wrong. You didn't have the statements in the places that were required by the bank, and the bank's not going to be teaching you a course on how to do the short sale with their phone operators. So that's a great point.
Well, and I was going to say, as I always say, I always love when we can help educate, we can teach, we can inspire. And so I'm going to end the room. I know we're a little bit late, but I'm going to end the room. And David, if you'll hang on, but John Lee, everybody who's up on stage, one thing I ask is that you come off your mics and that you say yay with me, as we always celebrate the silver linings in life. So we'll do that. 3, 2, 1. Yay!
Yay!
Thank you, guys. Happy holidays. So there we go. We are finished and we stop.